I'll just dive in there. Thanks everybody for taking the time today to join me for the presentation and joining the conference. I agree very much with everything that Tony just went through there. But to dive into Antino, so my name is Colin Padget. I'm the CEO of Founders Metals. We started at Antino in Suriname in the south or the northeastern corner of South America back in 2023. We did things a little different than the usual junior story, purchased 2 diamond drill rigs of our own, got those to site and starting with a very little capital, we began drilling around June in 2023. We had a lot of success in that first 6 months, finished that year with around 10,000 meters of drilling. Last year, we upped our drills to 4, full-time 24/7 drilling, finished with just over 43,000 meters. And this year, kind of showing that kind of continued growth or continued scale and all a product of the success that we've had with finding gold with the drill. We have a plan for 60,000 meters of drilling this year. The picture that you can see on the screen in the background here to this slide is an example of the small scale mining that's taken place historically on the property and is one of the things that drew us to this project initially. I've said quite a few times, I think one of the easiest places to find gold is places where people have already mined it or are currently mining it. And, the evidence of, pits like these ones really show that surface gold, it's a very strong indication of some excellent grades at depth. And that's what we've been able to find with the drill. So I'll dig into it here. I will be making some forward-looking statements. So a little bit of background on the area and one of the things that really draws a lot of people's attention to Suriname and the Guiana Shield in this area is that historically, the Atlantic Ocean is a little smaller here than it should be because there's this connection between West African geology and all the gold I think that area of the world is very well understood as a gold region, with almost 300 million ounces of inventory, it's been produced or to be produced in this area. The fact that the geology does continue across the Atlantic, these 2 continents once being together, we see much of the same geology in the Guiana Shield. And the prospectivity of the region here in Suriname and all of the Guiana Shield, I think follows that very, very well. And I think we're evidence that's certainly possible to make some big new discoveries in the area. And there's been a number of other success stories in the area recently as well. So diving into Antino and zooming in on Suriname. Suriname is a fairly small country, about 400 by 400 kilometers. There's 2 major producers in country. Newmont operates the Marion mine with past and future production north of 10 million ounces now. Zijin recently purchased the Rosebel mine from IAMGOLD. There's another almost 20 years of production here. Suriname is a country with a long history of gold mining, and much of their economy right now is focused on and has been focused for a long time on gold production. We're down here in the southeast of the country, and we have a 200 square kilometer land package that's fully permitted for all of the exploration work that we want to do. And we have exploitation concessions, which does mean that small scale mining, everything up to including building a mill or plant is all included under that permit system. We have excellent access to infrastructure here where we are, with the 3rd busiest airstrip in the country, and then barge access for heavy equipment, etc. Because we do our own drilling, we now actually own 6 of our own drills. We have 4 operating full-time with a 5th rig starting here in the next few months. We have some very capital efficient exploration. So we keep our drilling costs all in, including assays, camp, exploration, the works, to around $250 Canadian per drill meter, which, to put that in perspective, a lot of, my experience has been in some Northern Canadian projects with $600, $700, $800 Canadian per meter. So very efficient place to operate. We are building off of a historic database. So there's some historic work there, not coming in brand new, but we've been able to take that work and add considerable new data, new techniques, geophysics, etc., and really turn that into something that we understand much better than had been historically. Recently, we had a just over $12 million investment by B2 Gold. They came into our story in October last year, acquired 5% of the company with rights up to 9.9, and kind of further validating the idea that we are onto something with that world-class, as you said, 5 to 10 million ounce potential. Very high grade, basically a very high grade gold is what we've been finding. We've had over 2,500 plus gram meter products. So the interval times the grams per ton. So lots of very, very high grade gold, and we're very proud of that, and have had a lot of success putting those numbers out, and that's been very much reflected in our share price and in the chart that you see here. This staircase has been a product of continuously putting out good results over what is now coming up on 2 years or just over 2 years of work. Shares outstanding, very well and tightly held share structure, just over 100 million. Management still owns 11% of that outstanding stock, and our institutional ownership right now sits at around 54%. Dynamic Funds out of Toronto with Scotiabank was the first institutional investor into the Antino story. Came in very early and has supported the stock all the way along. BlackRock came in May of last year as an investor, and now hold north of 15% of the outstanding stock. And then a number of other pension funds, large institutions, and the majority of which are long only and really looking at seeing this through to the end. Working capital, as was mentioned, just over right around $50 million Canadian cash, and that leaves us fully financed to do all of the 60,000 meters we have planned this year, with considerable runway for the next year and moving forward into the future. We have had quite a bit of analyst coverage recently. Some of the newest ones have been with the Bank of Montreal and Clare Securities. And I'll just jump to this slide, and that's where I've kind of watched it grow over time, but the 5 to 10 million ounce potential comes out of those kind of the consensus of those analyst reports and the number of people we've had to cite. And that's really been because we have drilled a fair number of meters at this point. Still lots of drilling to do, and it's pretty exciting, but we're now quite a few, north of 60,000 meters total drilled here. So I won't go through all these because there's a lot of names and I haven't shown a map yet, but Upper Antino is the big one. That's where we've done about 70% of our drilling, and I'll dig into that in most detail. Cover off Boise because there's a bit to tell there, and that's our most recent press release. And then we've had a number of exciting new discoveries and quite a few more to look into. One of the big de-risking items as well is metallurgy. What does processing this material look like, or taking it into in a production scenario? We've had very good numbers come out of our metallurgy with up to 96% recoveries, kind of 91, 92% to 96% range on our first round of met. Mentioned the B2 Gold. We had a few notable additions to the team. Most recently, we added of note would be Chris Taylor of the Great Bear Resources fame, who took a new discovery in Canada through to sale at $1.8 billion Canadian. That was a pretty incredible story all along. In terms of capital raised, we've raised significant capital and are currently very well capitalized for the coming months and years. So this is a map of Antino, the project itself. So a full 200 square kilometers is this entire area here. And all of the white boxes are kind of areas of interest or target areas. The colored dots in the background on this map are auger samples from historic work. And there's a number of very high grade ones. You'll see this says greater than 5 grams per ton. And some of these are 60 and 70 grams per ton. And that's not so much an anomaly as it's probably something that someone in the future is going to want to mine. And we've got a few of these really large auger anomalies. So Upper Antino, again, about 70% of our drilling has come out of there. Examples of some of the results we've had: 38 meters of 11 grams, We've had 15.5 meters of 31 grams, 46 meters of 6 grams, 26 meters of 6, and many more to come out of this area. The Boise area is another one of these big auger anomalies. 20 meters of 7.65. We've recently extended that structure to almost 2 kilometers long, and are doing more drilling now. That's probably our second most advanced target. In our third hole at Lower Antino, we had 82 meters of a gram, very consistent mineralization over that interval. And then getting further out from those kind of better defined targets in terms of the auger sampling, once you get away from that, there's actually just been a lot less work done. And it's part of what provides a lot of the opportunity for upside for us outside of the fantastic numbers that we've gotten with the drill bit and that have come out of historic work as well in these 3 areas. So Parbo, we are on our way there with exploration teams right now to develop that to drill ready. Likewise with Maria Giralda, there's been some very interesting numbers historically. But it's most recently Da Vinci and Van Gogh where we've made some big discoveries. Da Vinci, 36 meters at 2 grams. Van Gogh, this one's very exciting. We closest historical kind of artisanal work, and that's what all this discoloration is here in the creeks. It was over 1 kilometer away. And in our first drill hole, we had 28.5 meters of 7 grams, and we recently released 78 meters of over 2 grams. From the Van Gogh area below this number here. So that's from surface over 200 meters down of mineralization. Very impressive early drilling on a brand new target. And then lots of exciting stuff here further to the east, but we're still building that out. So the geologists have a lot of fun. An idea of what that looks like on the ground. This is Upper Antino here. So this is our main camp at Upper Antino, 1.3 kilometer airstrip. We inherited this infrastructure, and that's been a big part of our success and being able to work in the country as efficiently as we have. What we're looking at Upper Antino, and I won't dig too deep into it for sake of time, is one thing that these gold systems really like is a big fold. And what we've come to understand is that we sit within a big structure like this one here that I've drawn. And the gold mineralization really sits in the limbs of that structure. And we started initially drilling in some of these historic pits, did some step out work, and we've now found a number of parallel mineralized zones and extended this main structure 1.6 kilometers along strike. In step out drilling, we're nearly 400 meters across strike. And we've made another discovery in the poorly named donut zone over here, where we had 14 meters and 19 grams, 45 meters at 2 grams, and some drilling over there. So lots of excitement there, and it leaves a lot of room to fill in here with the drill. And that's a big part of the work that we're doing this year. I'll just quickly spin around to give you a view of what things look like on the camps here. So Boise, that kind of next more developed area. And for scale, I'm going to click through to the Boise camp, but this is almost 6 kilometers away from the viewpoint, with Lawa here being almost 12 kilometers away. So we're looking at a very large piece of ground with a lot of potential for discoveries, even beyond those that we've discovered already or that I've talked about. Clicking through to Boise, whenever I do tours, this is always the most, I think, exciting for people because visually it's very striking. The amount of mining and the scale of mining work that's been done in this area is kind of testament to many, many decades of historical and artisanal scale work. This is a D6 dozer for scale here with this mill and a 320 excavator. So you're looking at the surface level mining that's been going on. We recently bought out this miner for his equipment, really, to do a lot of the exploration work we're doing elsewhere. But he's had quite a lot of success over many, many years. So we take this as a good indication from thinking of it as a bulk sample point of view that really lines up with the drilling that we've done here. And we're pretty excited about continuing the work. And if you check out our press releases, it's this Boise area is where our most recent one comes from, where we're looking at these big intrusive rocks and these very high grade shears within them. that add together to make an impressive bulk tonnage target that goes along with the high-grade gold mineralization at Upper Antino. And let's jump to the Upper Antino piece. So at Upper Antino, and coming back to that top corner, and this is where most of our drilling is. These are drill intercepts projected to surface. We started in this first 6 months, second 6 months with that donut discovery, and then this is December last year. We've now grown that considerably even from there. And then these are more of those intercepts that I mentioned, the 14 meters of 16, the 10 of 24, 15 of 31. So lots of impressive numbers from that area, and lots of room for that still to grow this year. This is a section through that. I won't spend a lot of time here, but we really, with the step out drilling, have made it into a much more attractive open pittable target with a lot of this area in between still to be drill tested to see if we can connect the Froyo gold zone here and donut over to the east. A long section of that same deposit area at Upper Antino, similar sorts of grades. What we do get out of the long section is a lot of consistency in the drilling over many hundreds of meters, where we see these high grade ore shoots that are both help with the economics or the grades overall for early open pit mining, but also bode well for potential long-term underground mining as well. So it has potential for a very long-term mine situation. Boise have covered in quite a bit of detail, but some of those broad intervals, 130 grams of 130 meters of 0.3. We just put out 122 meters of 0.55, and then we have those high grade intervals as well, the 20 meters of 7.6, etc. We're continuing to drill there and really building that out, focusing on scale. Lower Antino I mentioned briefly. It's really getting a lot more drilling into it now, and we'll have some results on that in the future. Da Vinci as well, likewise, working on building what's there and getting back to that with the drill to continue testing and continue building that out. But this was another success with some very early drilling. Before I'm out of time, I'll have a couple minutes for questions. Just to quickly touch on the option agreement and our ownership position. We're very close to completing stage 2 for 70% of the project. Our partners are the optionors in country, are Nano Resources, a local business owners, have had the concession for a long time, and we're in conversations with them as well about buying out their 25%. So I'll pretty much leave it at there, but I'd say like the big catalyst going forward, and we're gonna have continued drill results all year long. We've got a lot of meters to drill and a lot of news flow to come from that. Half of our drilling is going to be focused on expanding the things that we know, those main 3 areas. And then the other half is really focused on brand new exploration, brand new targets, and seeing what else is on that property. Additionally, we're working on a number of new ground out and around the area that we have today. And so we see potential acquisition of new ground as a fairly large catalyst as well, and really growing out that land package in what is an exceptional jurisdiction, exceptional gold area to work in. And I'll leave there for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. Great presentations. Let's do some Q&A. First question is that Founders is one of the top performing exploration stocks in the past 3 years. Can you explain why?
Yeah, for sure. We found a lot of gold is the short answer. But yeah, I think one of the big success pieces that's led to our success has been constant or continuous communication with the market, on top of also having the results to go along with that. So very steady news flow and just keeping investors informed has been a big part of our success.
Great answer. I love this short answer. Yeah. So second question is that what are the main reasons why you chose to work on Antino? Did you already see something special from historical data before?
Yeah, so historical data, there were some fantastic numbers. At Upper Antino, one of the historic intervals was 62 meters of 10 grams, which that's for a lot of geologists probably a once in a lifetime sort of interval. So that had me excited enough to want to go in and see the project. I went in November of 2022, and once you're on the ground, it doesn't take very long before you start to see the scale. The artisanal mining or the historic small scale mining really shows you how big this thing can be, and that's been a review we've gotten from a lot of people that have seen it so far.
I see. Next question from Bill is that, is there any history in Suriname before that it has not been mining friendly? Because, a government in South America may change. So, yeah.
For sure. So in Suriname, very long history of gold mining. At Antino, there's been mining since the late 1800s. But I think the best thing to point to is really, Rosebel it's effectively an institution. It's 20 plus years of continuous production. Newmont has been running the Marion mine since 2016. And they're still mining today, and they're only getting bigger, and they've had that stability. So 2 mines in country ran by 2 majors, I think really points to it being a mine-friendly jurisdiction.
I see, I see. Last question is from Peter, is that, is the long-term plan selling the mine for buyers to produce or produce in-house, subject to successful drilling results?
Yeah, right now we're a pretty young team, very exploration geology focused. And that right now our goal is to build the value through the drill bit and through exploring. I think we would be open to, and the model presently would be if looking for a potential acquirer, but we're not actively seeking that because there's just so much value for us to continue building. And if we get to a point where it makes the most sense for shareholders for us to build or to construct or do the mining ourselves, then we'll add the people that we need to the team and signal that to the market and move from there.